Welcome to the Greenlight Investor for the week ending June 26th, 2015. The goal of the Greenlight Investor is to provide a resource to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. We do this by using red, green, and yellow cells to help you decide when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as personal investment advice. The examples shown here are exactly that. They're examples of how you can use this worksheet to help make investment choices within your 401k. Please refer to your own investment policy to make sure that the choices you make are appropriate for both your investment time horizon as well as your understanding and acceptance for taking risks in markets. With that said, you can either pause this if you want to read it, or we'll go right into our spreadsheet. And just a reminder, the spreadsheet's updated each week. If you'd like to download your own copy of this to go through it in a little more detail, you can go to our website at thegreenlightinvestor.org and either download it from there, or you can sign up for an email which will send out a copy of this worksheet to your email box each weekend. Let's go right into this and see how it's set up. We use the investment choices as the left side of the worksheet. And we have the fund number, the symbol, the fund name, and the description of each fund on the left side. At the top of the worksheet, we start out with the core investments. Those are the index funds that are available to you. Then we go into the supplemental or satellite investments, starting with the money market, fixed income, U.S. growth and income, U.S. equities, international funds, and the sector funds are at the bottom. They're arranged such that the more aggressive funds are towards the bottom and the more conservative funds are towards the top of the spreadsheet. In the center part of the worksheet, we'll see the performance for the year 2015. Each week we update the closing price, the month-to-date total return, quarter-to-date total return, and the year-to-date total return. This is important so you can keep track of how your personal investment choices are doing compared to other choices in the different categories as well as in the different sections of the worksheet. It's a good idea just to make sure that you're staying with some of the stronger funds. And finally, we go to what I think is the most exciting and unique part of this worksheet. And what that is that's the current weekly trend scores. In the center column, we have the relative strength trend change, and that's on a week-to-week basis. We look at that, and the funds that are in green are the ones that on a relative basis have been the strongest performers. And when you see red, those are the ones that have been the weakest performers. Those numbers come from the columns to the right. The columns to the right, each week we track the weekly relative strength trend scores, and those are given in red cells when the trend is in a neutral to negative direction, and they're in green cells when you have generally a positive direction. You can also see changes in the direction by looking at the numerical values in each cell. Even though this is a green cell, you're seeing that it's weakened on a week-over-week basis as the numerical values have gotten weaker. And the same with this red cell. You'll see that we already were red with a negative 58, and we moved to a negative 87 on that. So we're continuing to weaken even though we're already red. So it gives you an idea of the trend and changes in trends. As we scroll down this, we can see that the fixed income section has an awful lot of red. And judging by the top, we have 6 red lights here. So it's a very bearish sign for the fixed income funds. In the middle, we're seeing kind of a mixed section with the U.S. growth and income. Again, income is coming under a lot of pressure, and that you can see by both the number of red lights as well as the weakening of the numerical values in each of the cells. And the next section we'll take a quick look at is the U.S. equity fund. There we still see quite a bit of green, but again, as you look down, generally we're seeing a weakening in the strength, and we're seeing a lot more red turn up in the short-term column. The short-term column, you have to remember, is just an early indicator that there may be a change in place. And as always, it's most important to keep an eye on the long-term trends to see the long-term direction of each of the funds. As we move back down to the international funds, we're seeing again a mix of the red and greens. It's showing a weakness, but on a relative basis, it's been stronger than the U.S. funds have been this year. We're seeing neutral to red in the short term. The intermediate is red, but the long term is still bullish, so a lot of caution here, but you're still generally bullish as far as the funds go. And finally, we're seeing the sector funds, which you're seeing again a mix of the red and green cells. We're seeing more and more red appear in the short term, intermediate, and longer term trends. Healthcare seems to be the strongest sector of the year, and any funds that have a lot of healthcare in them have certainly been your strongest performers. With all that said, let's go ahead and see how we can use this information to help make investment choices within your 401k allocation. To keep track of your 401k allocation, you can simply click on View, Custom Views, and in this menu, click on the My Current Allocation. Once that's highlighted, click Show. Here we can go right into what the allocations are that we're currently using for this example. And again, this is just an example of how you use the worksheet to make choices within your 401k. It's not meant to be personal investment advice. So again, please consult your own investment strategies and policies when making investment choices. All right, let's go ahead and continue. When you look at my selections, what you're seeing is the amount that we have allocated. And we have an asset allocation questionnaire. If you're not sure how to allocate assets within your 401k, the asset allocation questionnaire is a great place to start. And we also have a one-click retirement planner and a 401k calculator available to you. So a lot of information in this spreadsheet. Back down to my allocations, which we're showing a 10% allocation. We're showing we have 10% in the U.S. Stock market. And when we slide this over, we can see that we're generally showing a green light to the left, even though that the short and intermediate term are somewhat bearish. We still have the green light, so it's okay to stay in this fund. And to the right of column V, we're still seeing green lights. So again, even though this is weakening, it's your choice, but it's still long-term in a bullish trend. As we move down here, we have a 10% allocation to the money market funds. And our 10% allocation, money markets have outperformed just about everything for the week, so it's not too bad to have allocations into the money market fund. Next, we have our fixed income funds, which we've taken all the money out. We've moved that allocation down to 0, as we've seen all red cells to the right and mostly red cells to the left. It's been a weak performing sector, and we're going to try to stay away from that for now. When we start to see green lights appear again, then we'll look at reallocating capital to that section. Our U.S. growth and income, we have a similar story. We'd like to have 5% allocated due to our asset allocation guidelines. But currently, because of the amount of red and the negative trend, we're allocated to 0. We moved that to one of the sector funds last week. Next, we have a 30% allocation into the U.S. equity funds. And as we scroll down, we see that they're generally just drifting sideways as you see a large mix of red and green cells. To see if there's any changes needed, you'll click on the 20% allocation, and as long as we're seeing a green light to the left and a green light to the right, it's okay to stay in this fund. If that were to turn red, then at that point you'd want to take action with these funds. Next, we have a 10% allocation to this fund. It's got a green light and a green light, so no action is needed this week. Let's go down to our international allocation. In this category, we have a 30% allocation. We have 20%, 10%. 20% is showing bullish and bullish on both sides, so we're fine. Nothing needed this week. And down in our 10% allocation, we have a green light and a green light. So again, nothing to be done. We saw the red light flash, but a lot of times I like to give it 2 or 3 weeks just to make sure And this little yellow dot inside, when that turns red, that's the confirmation. When it's yellow, it means it's a very neutral red light, so you can give it a little bit of time to see if it materializes or not. And finally, we have 15% allocation to the sector funds, but we currently have 20% allocated here. And the reason is that the growth and income fund, we elected to move capital from there down to this category. We have a 10% allocation, and that's still showing a green light and a green light to the left and right of column V. We have a 5% allocation, and this is similar to the example we just looked at. We have a neutral to the left, so that's a caution light, and we have a red light to the right with a yellow dot. So that's a caution. You could take action if you're concerned with the market, or you could simply leave it and wait for one more week of confirmation. If that turns into a red light and a red light, then we'll move this either to money market or find another fund that has a green light and a green light with a strong relative strength. And finally, we have a 5% allocation in this fund. We have a green light, and with the green light in column V, it was one of the strongest performing funds over this past week. So again, there's nothing to do there. That's all we have to do to review the allocation within our 401k. Each week takes only a few minutes to go over it and see if there's changes. Generally, there's not. You can make small changes if you'd like, but you generally try to stay in the green lights, and you try to look for the numbers that are strengthening in the green light on the right side of column V. Let's go ahead and go back to our performance sheet, and that brings it to an end. That's what I've got for this week. I hope it's been helpful and gives you some ideas and resources for managing your 401k choices. To find out more about how the Greenlight Investor can help you make sense of your 401k allocations, you can simply visit our website, where again, if you want to download this worksheet each week, you can do so from the greenlightinvestor.org. And when you go there, you can sign up to have it delivered to your email each weekend, in which case you can just take a quick look at it yourself at your pace when you have a few minutes. I want to thank you again for watching the video, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you very much.